Jim Linnell is a writer, teacher, and director who has left a lasting impact on the University of New Mexico. He helped establish the MFA degree in dramatic writing and is the former dean of the College of Fine Arts. But 6 months from retirement, he suffered a freak accident that left him almost totally paralyzed. Linnell's new book, Take It Lying Down, chronicles his struggle to regain his independence as he looks back over his life and ponders his future. He sat down with NMIF correspondent Megan Kamerick.
Jim Linnell, thank you for joining us on New Mexico in Focus.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
What led you to make a career in theater and teaching?
Oh, Lord, I'm a creature of the 60s. And people in my age coming out of college were all focused against the idea of doing what your parents did, making money, but making a difference. And, doing something that had meaning. So we weren't thinking about how do I get a career, how do I get a job. We weren't thinking about practicalities. So theater, for me, was not just only entertainment, but it was a way to make a statement about the world that I thought needed to be changed.
You came of age, as you said, in the 60s. You did your PhD at Berkeley.
Yeah.
Any place and time. How did that influence what you wanted to do with theater?
It was a huge experience being at Berkeley. At the same time that I was studying theater, went there. Only Berkeley would create a PhD in directing. Everybody else had MFAs, but if you went to Berkeley, you had to go for 3 years. You had to learn 2 languages. And to get really a creative degree in directing. So it was a nutty kind of degree, but it just suited me, who came to the theater from my head, and I had to learn how to attach my head to my heart. And that happened under a lot of pressure, atmospheric pressure, being in a kind of war zone between Reagan's sending in the Alameda Sheriff's Department to control the student demonstrations going on daily on campus. I can still remember sitting on the cafe veranda watching what later turned out on CBS News. They tear gassed what they thought was a demonstration, but it was an elementary school.
Oh my God.
So Walter Cronkite was fussing about that on the evening news that night. No, it was to my final graduating production to get my graduate degree coincided with the invasion of Cambodia, and nothing made university campuses go crazy than Nixon's reneging that he wouldn't go into Cambodia. So I had to fight through my cast threatening to strike, even though I was doing a Brecht anti-war play. So I had to learn a lot of skills suddenly that I would never have learned in another kind of situation.
What brought you to New Mexico?
I had got a job at Northwestern University. Lucky kid. They were desperate at the last minute and hired me over the phone. Didn't have somebody there, missing a faculty member. So I hadn't finished my PhD dissertation. So going back to California to finish it in the summer, we visited friends who were living in Santa Fe. I'd never been in Santa Fe, never been in New Mexico. And if what happened to me happens to so many people, I got the enchantment trip, north into Taos, up into Truchas, and it was just no contest after that.
You helped establish the MFA program at the University of New Mexico in playwriting and also an annual festival of new plays that's still taking place. What gave you the most satisfaction as a teacher?
Oh, I started out teaching, directing, and acting when I came to UNM and transitioned into writing and having a vision of creating a writing program. The greatest satisfaction is watching students find their creative muse, their own creative inner voice. which they have to fight through their inner critics, their inner doubts, all the things, or to move past every cliche they've learned from television and to watch them find real language that speaks to a real emotional life on stage is such a thrill to see that come to life.
Theater is among the oldest art forms in the world. Why do you find it such a compelling medium for delving into the nature of humanity?
Well, yeah, it is. It just won't give up, will it? Even under all the assault of TV. There's nothing that can replace the live in person experience of an actor 20 feet from you, taking you to a place where in your own emotional life you would be afraid to go, and being allowed the chance to see an emotional explosion, fears and truths being told about life, that the theater tells that in ways that very difficult for it to be done. It happens in film, it happens in great art, in all mediums, but theater is unique in the sense that the actor is there in front of you, a life is vulnerable in front of you in ways that it doesn't happen in other mediums.
That's a great transition to talking about your book, because you're very open and vulnerable in this book, and it goes into an accident that took place when you were just 6 months away from retirement, vacationing in Mexico with your family. You stepped off a porch of your rental house and fell, and at the time it left you a quadriplegic. How did this disrupt your plans for retirement with your wife, Jennifer?
Well, it trashed them. It threw us both into a big trash can. Once your body has been wrecked in the way that any touch to your spinal cord is like Spock's, Vulcan mind grip on your neck. The spinal cord once hit, your body is gone after that, and it takes. In my case, I had an incomplete injury, so I had a chance to come back, but I didn't know that when I fell and I wasn't able to move. The instant you wake up from a fall like that, and you're expecting to move your limbs, and nothing, your brain says move, and nothing happens. My mind just went blank. I said I was screwed to my son, who was standing over me because I wasn't breathing. And he was they didn't know what was going to happen, so they got me to breathe. And the minute I knew that I couldn't move, I knew that I was on a path I had no idea what would happen, where it would lead. I just didn't even want to think about it at the time. But I knew it was the end of the life that I knew I was living.
You were medevaced back to Albuquerque, but you wound up at Craig Hospital in Denver for 3 months. Do you mind reading that passage where you talk about, you basically compare what was happening to you to a Hieronymus Bosch painting who painted pictures of hell?
When we flew out of Cabo, we flew past a land formation called El Cajon del Diablo, or the Devil's Drawer. As we fly out of Albuquerque toward Denver, we fly past mountains named Sangre de Cristo, the devil mashed against the blood of Christ. It feels like a Hieronymus Bosch painting. My body feels like a scene with devils dancing around a fiendish device constructed by Christianity's fever dream of sin and its consequences. I am crammed into a drawer made of wire mesh. My nose sticks through a gap on one end, and my toes poke out of the other, my body tied naked inside. My skin mimics the feeling of devils hopping about with buckets of hot coals and chunks of ice that they throw on top of the drawer while one jiggles it so they drop through the wire gaps. An old crone dances a spastic jig. Carrying a sharp stick, she erratically jabs into my left shoulder.
That's one of the many references you have to art or to theater or to literature. How did that help you cope with, for a while you had a complete loss of autonomy, you couldn't move, you had a tracheal tube.
You have choices once you realize how really messed up you are, how really terrible your situation is. You can say, why me, and go down the rabbit hole about I don't deserve this and retreat. And you have to deal with suffering. You've been chosen to suffer in a way, not that you're the most unique sufferer in the world. Suffering is everywhere on our planet, as we know. But you have to say to yourself, how do I accept suffering? Why? What is my? Is it just that I've been beaten down and I have to complain and I become an endless whiner that nobody ever wants to be around? So for me, I was always a nutcase about the Greeks, and it's from the Greeks that I learned how to accept suffering and see it in a way that is an integrated weave into our human nature. They teach us in Greek tragedy that the great ones, the heroes that come and are faced with a catastrophe, are knocked down into the place where most humanity lives. And it's from there, and their lives have been destroyed. And it's there the Greek tragedy wants to look at a man and say, now your knowledge of yourself now in this place is what it is to be human. So to see its suffering is just a deeper level at which I have to learn to be human. It was an enormous help for me.
When you left the Denver hospital, they basically gave you a 2-year window to make improvement. How did your wife, Jennifer, motivate you to keep moving even when it was really painful and you didn't want to do it?
You would be hard-pressed to find Jennifer ever sitting in her lovely house. She is a creature in constant motion. She's a former professional dancer. And the idea that your body hurts or that it's too much trouble to do something, for a woman who exercises constantly and knew what it meant to truly move through pain, to learn to make her art with her own body. So she has no patience to hear me whining about why I don't want to do it. And it's just her constant example that stop talking about it, just get up and keep doing it. So it would be, I would know that I would not long have her around me should I have failed at the task of getting off my butt and moving.
You actually you're getting better with more movement, and then your insurance company decides you've had your total allotment of therapy.
Yeah,
how did you deal with that?
Well, we were lucky. Jennifer taught Pilates. She knew about Pilates. And we knew that there were really skilled teachers in town. We found one named Colleen Cummings. And she started with me when I was just back from the hospital. Because the insurance company says, oh, you're a guy that needs PT, you get 20 sessions. Well, I'm a guy who needs PT all the rest of my life, having a spinal cord injury.
You know, I think it's interesting. You made this remarkable progress in your 2-year window. Now you're somewhat more mobile. You have a walker. And the doctors gave you that time to improve, and you worked with your therapist, with Jennifer. You went back to the rehab hospital in Denver so they can gauge your progress. And you wanted to tell them, like, look at all this stuff I've done. Don't you want to know about it? And the researchers don't seem interested. Why?
There's no good reason for it except they have a myopic view of what research can do to the things they need to collect to help somebody like me. Yeah, I was like a kid that went back and said, when I went back, they bring you back to say, what's happened since we worked with you? let's test you and see how you're doing. I was the only kid there with my little bright walker walking around. Everybody else is still in their wheelchair. So they kept saying, wow, look at you, isn't that great? I said, yeah, don't you want to know what I did? And they said, sure, we'll send you to the researchers. Went to a quantitative guy. He says, you're just a N of 1, you're just an example of 1. We can't deal with you. Go to the qualitative lady. She says, well, when did this happen? Was it within 2 years? And I said, yeah, sure it was. Don't you want to know what we did to get me to where I am? And she says, maybe not. We'll send you to the magazine. We have a magazine. And she said, but neither the magazine or the researcher could think of the idea that these oral stories, me and many others who ended up in different places who had incomplete injuries, would be of tremendous use to somebody who say, oh, I didn't think about doing that. I could use that. So no, for me, it's just laziness masquerading as science.
How are you now?
I have a body that's like a video game.
In what way?
There's spasms every day in various ways. The worst spasm I have right now is one I call my kryptonite spasm. I get a specific spasm because I get a pinched nerve in my hip, because I've been sitting in a certain way or sleeping in a certain way. And if I put my foot down, it won't bear weight. It crumples or it shoots back up. So it takes me many minutes of stretching to work that out so I can even walk again. The greatest terror for me, and it was true when I was at Craig, is that something will take my advance away again. Something will put me back to where I was. So I have these terrors about losing what I've got. So whenever something happens that I feel like I can't, it's really hard to walk again, I go into these panic attacks. But, it's, I can walk, and I should walk more, as Jennifer is speaking to me in the back of my mind, much more than I am doing. And I pay for it if I sit around too long, because I live in my head and I like to write. So I sit too long and pay for it by getting up and being stiff and not being able to move well.
Could you read a passage from Take It Lying Down, your book? It's near the end.
Yes, sure. I know now that after I fall, it is not so easy to jump up, brush yourself off, and join in again. I know life is cruel and capricious, with equal measures of goodness. Where I fell as an adult is lush with palm trees, has wide sandy beaches, and achingly blue water that teems with giant whales elegantly traveling to their breeding grounds. That one bad thing happens does not change the fact that one good thing happens, that these circumstances occur next to each other by seconds. There is no logic or belief that makes sense of this. There is only persistence, patience, and the wonder of our connection to others, who miraculously love us as we love them. Is this enough to keep us in the game? A game we know has no certain rules?
And is it?
It has for me.
Jim, thank you so much for coming and talking about your life in theater and your new book.
Thank you. Thank you for being interested in my story.